Hey, Young Turks, this is Nomi Kant. You, I'm sure, have been following the hurricane that has taken over Texas right now and caused incredible flooding. That's Hurricane Harvey. We have been tracking this carefully and have been interviewing a lot of folks on the ground, and I noticed that there's been quite a bit of volunteer efforts taking place, and some people have been skeptical of say the larger organizations like Red Cross, and a lot of folks have been encouraging your giving to smaller organizations where you can see the direct impact. Of course, we saw what happened in Haiti and the big stories that came out of Haiti with ProPublica, and they won Pulitzers because of this, exposing a lot of the mismanagement of funds during natural disasters. So one of these organizations that has been getting a lot of momentum lately and a lot of attention, and we were at their national conference, is the Democratic Socialists of America. And there is a Houston chapter that has been doing a lot in terms of volunteer efforts because it's their community. And we have the co-chair of the Houston Democratic Socialists of America chapter, that's DSA, Nick Bunce, correct? Did I say that right?
That's right.
Perfect. So you're in Houston right now, and traditionally we do these interviews over Skype, but of course there's technical difficulties right now. But you're there and you're seeing what's happening, and you guys have been organizing these volunteer efforts and have been asking for donations. Can you just give everybody a little update on the state of the storm and how much it's impacted your community?
Yeah. So right now, as we speak, I can see the sun and some blue sky, which is definitely a welcome sight. Harvey has seemed to move on, and it has stopped raining. It stopped raining here about late afternoon, early evening yesterday, which is finally giving people a chance to get out of their homes and as the streets clear, and for emergency crews to find the people that are still stranded, and for people to make their ways to the shelters down at the George R. Brown Convention Center, 20th Center, and others scattered across the city.
You see the footage on TV, and we're going to be showing some of this footage of your efforts. There were nursing homes that were completely flooded. There was that very powerful image of elderly in the nursing homes, sitting in their chairs still covered with water, all the way up to their chests. And to see these beautiful, houses being completely taken over, their first floor is taken over by water. That not to mention the impoverished communities where they, may not have flood insurance or the right drainage, or maybe an older area of town where the setup wasn't structured for a massive flood like this. Can you describe just like how different areas of town are managing this disaster?
Well, yeah. So for people not familiar with geography in Houston, Houston was originally founded at the confluence of two rivers, and down here we call them bayous. And there's a network of bayous that feed into each other and eventually all reach the Gulf of Mexico. Right now we have, or back in this weekend as the rain was falling, those bayous were, I don't know the official numbers, but by my guess, well over 20 feet over their banks, and flowing into surrounding areas. Also, with unchecked development to our west, we've had the water has nowhere to go. It falls on asphalt and parking lots and concrete, and it tries to flow into the drainage and retention ponds, but in even streets. But when those systems are overwhelmed, then the only place for it to go is into the people's homes. We're seeing especially special damage in areas around not only the bayous, but in areas around the Addicks and Barker reservoirs, as controlled releases are happening. And I was told yesterday that it even the water spilled over the dam there.
Oh my goodness, it went over the dam, and they were projecting that the dam would, the water would spill over, and how that affects the community. Are they anticipating that the dam would break as we saw with Hurricane Katrina and the unbearable damage that occurred, a little over a decade ago?
Not to my knowledge yet, no.
Okay, good. So, all right, you guys at the Houston DSA chapter, you are coordinating volunteer efforts. Describe to us what you guys are doing and how is it all organized? Because it's such a huge task to undergo, and where do you decide to put resources and help, and what do you prioritize?
Yeah, and that's a very good question. Like anyone else, when the storm hit, we at the Houston DSA, we knew that we needed to do something, that we had to do something. We're here in our communities, and we want to help our neighbors and our friends and family right here in Houston. The large national charities, while they're great in helping out in the immediate aftermath, they're eventually going to leave, but a lot of work will still need to be done here in Houston. And I think that Houston DSA and our greater network of Democratic Socialists of America, will be here to help with those efforts. So this past weekend, we started a sort of You Caring page, a kind of a crowdfunding fundraiser, which I believe is almost at $80,000, I think, as of last night. So we've been getting a tremendous outpouring of support from people that want to give money, wanting to volunteer. And we're trying to leverage these the fundraising that we're doing and the volunteer resources to give maximum benefit long term. So we have a 3-point plan. First, because of the bills such as SB4, that's the Texas Show Me Your Papers law that takes effect this Friday, actually, and just the general hostile environment that the state Republicans have cultivated in Texas for undocumented folks. The undocumented communities are especially vulnerable in disasters. So what we want to do is we want to provide straight off the top financial assistance for organizations working directly with those communities, giving them a substantial portion of the funds we're using.
That's fantastic! Wow.
Yeah. Then we want to provide direct aid to individuals that have been impacted in the form of gift cards. Supplies are great for many people, but a lot of families they just need simple financial assistance to make the purchases that they need to get by. So we're going to be working with people that contact us and also coordinating with other organizations to identify people in communities that are impacted, and we'll go in there and try to provide direct financial assistance to them as best we can. And then our third point, we're getting a lot of people contacting us, a lot of DSA members from around the country contacting us to asking us when they can come volunteer. So we'll be working with our other DSA members and other organizations to organize cleanup teams, and we'll be purchasing toolkits for those teams to come down and do the muck and gut of houses that have been, maybe under 5-6 feet of water, and that's really the work that's going to last weeks and months.
So how do you get in touch with the people who need help? Are they reaching out to you? Are you going door to door? Like, what's the process of this all?
So we have a Google form which is on our website, where we have people reaching out to us, letting us know if they can volunteer, but also requesting aid. And so through that, we're getting people coming directly to us, and we're also talking with local agencies and local charities and nonprofits to talk with them to see where if there's places and areas that we're not reaching.
Now, in terms of just getting around, it's hard to tell with the footage that you're seeing on TV right now from newscasters. But is everybody? I mean, is it impossible to get around? Are you able to drive? Everybody on is like, I'm just seeing people on boats. Like, how are people able to move right now?
Mobility is limited. There are certain surface streets and routes that are open and clear. As of last night, most of the highways, I think, still had water in certain areas that rendered the entire highway impassable. And, of course, in areas closer to the bayous and closer to the reservoirs and lakes, it's completely flooded, and there are, the only way to get in and out is through either high water rescue vehicles or boats.
Oh my goodness! Wow. You have these convention centers and stadiums, and of course there was controversy over Joel Osteen's church. It seems like most of those places are filled now. I mean, Joel Osteen, who is this mega church pastor, who has a television show, he has this very large church, and there's a lot of controversy because he wasn't opening it up, but he has decided to open it up. That's what the latest reports say.
I can't speak to the number of displaced people that are in these shelters, if they have been filled up in terms of displaced people. But I can tell you that yesterday we got some DSA members, went down to George R. Brown, and the line for volunteers was around the corner,
wow.
and they were actually turning people away. So from several shelters, because they're just the outpouring of support. So I do know that Houston is coming together to provide assistance for all the displaced people that are in shelters. Great.
How long do you think this is going to take for the water to recede and for these homes to get cleared out?
For the water to recede, I'm not sure. In past flood events, it's taken 1, 2, maybe 3 days for it to eventually for the water to recede. It'll take longer for things to dry out, but I think the situation with the roads is rapidly improving, and we should be able to see people getting out maybe later today. If indefinitely tomorrow.
Okay, so for those of us who are listening and want to help you guys out, what's the best way at this point to contribute to your efforts?
Yeah, so right now the best way, if you're listening in on, from outside the Texas area, the best way is to contribute financially. In that, you can go to HoustonDSA.org/donate, and that will direct you to our You Caring page, where you can make a direct donation to our fundraiser, which, again, we're trying to prioritize undocumented communities and direct aid to people impacted. If you are in the Texas area and would like to volunteer, if you go to HoustonDSA.org/Harvey-relief, then you can fill out a form to let us know that you're willing to volunteer and any of the skills that you might be able to contribute.
Wonderful. Well, Nick, thank you very much, and thank you guys at DSA, your local chapter, for putting forth these efforts. This is the kind of community service work that more political organizing groups should be doing, and I'm very passionate about that. I think it's something that the major parties should, it's not just enough to issue a statement and say, this is where you should donate money, but this is the type of service work that parties used to give their members, and I think you guys are doing a great job. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Naomi.
All right, take care.